We hope you enjoy this clip. Before you watch it, please hit that subscribe button. I feel like we had different retirements, so to speak. You know what I mean? For you, what was the hardest part of leaving the game? What is the thing that you sort of miss the most?
Definitely the locker room. So like being around the guys and like, obviously you compete and stuff like that, but I have golf to compete to crave that itch. But like for me, like the day in and day out, going into the locker room, seeing the guys, and then like that whole transition, like especially towards the end of my career, because I really started playing winning basketball. So I understand, like my mentality changed. My first 10 years, I was playing damn near meaningless basketball up until I think in 2009 we took the Lakers to the Western Conference Finals. And other than that, we get to the Knicks. We had the one good run. So from like the first better half of my career, it was just like, oh, okay, well, we're gonna get blown out. So let me just do what I do to make sure I stand out in a sense, you know? So by the time I got to Cleveland, it was like, oh no, I'm not showing up at 10 and practice at 11. I'm here at 8, I'm getting treatment, I'm lifting, I'm eating, I'm doing like, I'm watching Bron. I'm like, oh no. This is how we win. So my mentality completely changed. So it's like my accountability on even some of the things like not feeling like I had a fair shake, like accountability, like I added a lot of that to the situation to where it kind of weeded me out. So like, that's why I fear for like young players and talking about bringing the age group back down. It's hard because I was that high school kid who was that 17, 18 years old, go to a really bad team, not really that good with vets, like don't really like young players. So I'm 17, 18 years old. I'm around 35, 36-year-old dudes who looking at me like, what am I doing there anyway? Is that the best situation for me? Probably not. Now, if I'm going to San Antonio or one of those teams who are have a winning culture and a winning mentality, I can learn and how to be the right pro, you know? And a lot of that, I don't, just put on the vets because a lot of it was me too. I thought I knew everything. I was 17, 18 years old. I just came to a boatload of money. So how much could you tell me, you know?
You mentioned your rookie year. What was the hardest part? Adjusting to the NBA, coming straight from high school. I believe you were the second to last class. Yes, because my class, my 06 draft was the first with no high school kids. You were 04. So what was the hardest thing?
I think the hardest thing was like understanding I had so much time in the day. Like I got coached by the Hurleys in Jersey. So that's like a whole different regiment system. So we get up at 6. I stayed on campus. We had to be at class by 7:30. So from 6 to like 7:15, 7:20, you're in the gym. And then after that, you got practice. So you got school all day, you got workout, school all day, and then practice again. And then by the time then you got study hall or something, you go to sleep. So I did that for 2 years prior to coming to the NBA. I get to the NBA, hey, practice is at 11. Practice is over at 11:45. Have a good day. I'll see you tomorrow.
Y'all weren't practicing long, huh?
And we won.
No wonder you won 18 games.
Exactly. We won 18. I mean, he was running to play golf every chance he got. I was just like, is this real? Is this? And I got PJ Brown, like, don't worry about it, young fella. You know, you got a long career ahead of you. This is gonna be behind you. I'm like, this is really the NBA right now? Yeah.
I feel like you mentioned coming in earlier when you played for Cleveland.
Yeah.
I feel like when I first got in the league, guys didn't come early. Guys didn't stay after.
No.
Like if your practice, we practice longer, by the way. We practice for at least an hour and a half. But if you had a 2-hour practice, let's say it's 11 o'clock, you're getting there, unless you have like an injury you've got to get treatment on, you're getting there 10:30-ish.
10:30-ish all day long.
You're bouncing by the time you shower, put your sweats back on, you're out of there 1:15.
Yeah.
For an 11 o'clock practice, a normal practice, like at the end of my career, that is a 9 to 3:30 endeavor. Easy. Yeah. And by the way, it wasn't just me.
Right.
There's an expectation now. You got a treatment table, weight room, hot tub, cold tub, shots before, shots after, maybe some film work with your development coach. Then maybe you do another weight room session. Then it's an entire day. It was so different than when I remember because by like third, fourth year, I had developed my routine. Like, this is when I'm going to show up. This is what I'm going to do before, after game days. I had my routine. And I was in Orlando for 7 years. And then when I got to LA, I remember like my first week of training camp, and then coming back from that, I was like, oh, I'm just with a bunch of guys that are like me.
Right.
Because it was the first time that the whole team was doing that shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. That's how it was when I got to Cleveland. Like, that was the first time I seen the whole team in the weight room and on the court. Like, we were doing individual workouts together. Like, it was something that I've never seen before. Like, literally, and I catered a lot of that to Bron, because his work ethic and his drive is ridiculous. It doesn't matter if you're the 15th man on the team or the second man on the team. He'll go work out with you. He's going to get shots up with you. He's going to talk to you, communicate with you, like, what's going on, what do you see, whatever. And for me, once I really got around that winning mindset, like, no, this is our expectations. We expect to win. Not like, oh, we're just going to get there and then see what happens. Like, no, we expect to win. And when I put that in my mind, I'm like, oh, that's what made, like, when people like look at my game when I left New York to get to Cleveland, it looks so much different, because I realized, like, you don't need me to win. You don't need my offense. Kyrie can go for 30, 40 whenever he wants. Bron can do it pretty much wherever he wants. Kevin's coming off 2020s. All I got to do is play defense and spot up. Easy.
Yeah. I think a big takeaway that I've had today so far is just the importance of leadership, good veterans. Tommy and I spoke on Monday. We were talking about just like what makes a good organization, what teams we would be willing to bet on for the future. And like, as much as as much as the NBA and winning at the highest level is about 4 or 5 guys that can really move the needle. Maybe it's a little bit more in today's NBA right now, maybe 6 or 7. It really is about the front office and the coaching staff and the right veterans at the right time in their career. Because I don't know, man, like, this is just an observation, because I didn't know any of this stuff before we were talking, but this idea of redefinition and the perception of you seems to me like we may have had a different perception of you had you had those building blocks and that infrastructure in place.
For sure.
And I'm not making excuses for you, Jay. I'm not at all, because I think there's tons of players and I probably was a dickhead my rookie year too, but there's tons of players that come in, and if you don't have the right system in place for young guys, it's really tough to learn on your own at that age.
100%. Like, I don't make excuses for myself. I just look at it like, you don't know what you don't know. And you walk into a completely different situation, like at 17, 18, you see 35-year-olds and 36-year-olds doing it. That's what you think life is. That's what you think you're just supposed to be doing or whatever. So for me, I don't make excuses. I understand where I'm at, but more than anything, I try to lead by example and not have the younger generation fall down that same path. And like, to your example, like what you're saying about having older guys, especially at the right times, like a guy like Melo, who's been a superstar, he's a great dude, understands the ins and outs of the game, he can help so many different people. And I look at like a team like Memphis, who just went through what they went through with Ja. And it's like, if you have a legit vet, a legit guy, that doesn't happen. Because that even the incidents of the conversation comes up, and the vet lets you know, like, yo, listen, this is not how you do it, especially if you're a star. And there's very few people who know what that feeling is to be a star, or opposed to being role players, and they're just everybody else who's just telling you what you want to hear.
It's a fair point. It's a fair point, and I agree with it. And this is not in reference to Ja and the Grizzlies. I do question at times the role that an organization plays in the behavior.
Oh, I agree.
So you can have great vets, and the vets can try to guide and try to hold people accountable. If the organization, top to bottom, is not doing that, you still run into the same fucking issues.
Very true.
You still run into the same issue.
Very true.
We hope you had fun with us today. We hope you laughed. We hope you had fun with us today. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button.